I had a feeling you were going to dress as me though. Like I
And
just had a feeling in my waters. Well, this is as close as I'm getting. Welcome back to what's this? What's this? Welcome back to Best Friend Review. I'm Annabelle Lecter.
and I'm Annabelle Lecter.
No, I'm Annabelle Lecter. Let's start off with the comments from last week's video. Only a couple of comments this week. Joe said, missed having you to watch last week. You both look fabulous, and I enjoy your opinions, whether I agree or not. Thank you, love. Snatch Game is probably my least favourite challenge because each time the bad performances are so cringe I can barely watch, and this time was no exception. And Bam Diggy is back in the comments. Love both your fascinators. Funny you brought up Roz from Monsters Inc. There was a line in one of my scripts last year that said there's always watching, and I would deliver it as Roz just to amuse myself. And that is our comments from last week's video. So let's get down to the reviewing. Oh.
Welcome to RuPaul's Best Friend Review, bringing you a review of Season 13 of RuPaul's Drag Race. With your hosts Annabelle Lecter and Phil.
For me, this was a really weird episode because I felt like not a lot actually happened until we got to the runway.
I mean, every week we talk about how it's fillery, but
this was really fillery. But
I mean, yeah,
we will do everything that happened in the episode, and then maybe do like a timestamp for the runway or something, so you could just skip,
I'll
ahead.
pose for it.
There you go. Queens are back in the workroom. Elliot has gone. It only took 4 attempts to get rid of her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I literally have nothing more to say on that. I'm done talking about Elliot. We've finished. She's gone. We don't have to do it anymore. We've been doing it for the past 9 weeks. And it's never been good.
No.
We've never had like a good week of chatting about Elliot with two at a tease.
Yeah. However, Utica is feeling like blessed and filled with the spirit because they survived.
I keep forgetting that she's religious.
Yeah, really religious. I love the fact that Candy Muse has just stood next to her, just like, no.
Basically still wearing the look you're wearing right now that she wore down the runway last week.
Absolutely.
This is really interesting because actually they come in every single week and normally someone goes, the fire is under me, I'm going to have to do great this week. But Utica's not like the fire's under me. She's like, oh, I'm recharged. I like it.
She is doing a full wacky wave and inflatable arm person.
Honestly, she's just like, I am recharged and you can get 50% off cars at this car dealership.
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
We get a moment of Simone talking about how important it was for her to not just be this beautiful person who can wear beautiful things, but also bring a very important message to the runway and to the platform of RuPaul's Drag Race. And I thought this was a great moment again from Simone.
Yeah. I think every week though she brings a message.
Yeah.
But then this week was obviously just more of a specific and pointed and a noticeable message. But every week that she walks that runway is a message on the culture that she loves.
Yeah. Tina then is like, well, I'm not getting the recognition that I deserve. More.
I only half agree with her point. She isn't getting the recognition. I'm not convinced she deserves it. But where she's living right now, she's living in that house that Denali and Rosé were living in for the past 4 weeks. Actually, Denali's still there. Denali's still like, I was in the top, but I'm ready to go to the very top now.
Yeah, I
don't know. I just feel like at the start of every single episode, there are 4 queens stood in a lobby of a building, pushing the button, waiting for the lift up. And it's not coming down. And I think, unfortunately, like so many of the queens come into Drag Race, and what they don't understand is there isn't necessarily space for you all to shine. What the queens who do really well afterwards do while they're there is they just do their best and put the best version of them into it. When you spend all your time focusing on doing well in the competition, you're not necessarily going to leave and actually have a fan base.
No.
I read a really interesting article that spoke about what Trixie had said is when you're on Drag Race, you borrow fans and you have a borrowed fan base.
Right.
And when you leave Drag Race, you lose that fan base. And what you have to do is convince them to come and join your personal fan base that's separate to Drag Race.
Very clever.
And actually, Tina is another person who isn't understanding that.
Well, speaking of Tina shaved off the back of her hair because her wig was showing it.
Oh my God, right.
Oh God.
Story
Story time.
It wasn't that long ago. Right, I also have to just say, who is that celebrity chef called that has this hairdo?
Delia Smith, maybe?
Yeah. So in the little tiny thing that's literally this big in the corner of the screen, I just realised I look like Delia Smith. So there you go. That's what you can do for Snatch Game. You've already got the wig.
I honestly would love my own cooking show in drag. Could you imagine?
Yeah, what did we decide it was called? It went from Panabelle, Scranabelle.
Taco Bell Lecter.
Taco Bell Lecter. Oh my God. Yes, right. So a while ago, when we could still leave the house legally, I did a night out with friends, and I got mostly ready, and then my friends all came here to meet. And I had this big, like, one-sided blonde wig on, as I love, but it was a really big one, and it was all proper flat on this side.
Right.
And it pulled round the back, so you could see all the boy hair, and I didn't realise until we'd been playing a drinking game, I'm going to go with 20 shots in.
Oh.
Maybe only 2 drinks, because I do my shots fast. And I went, oh shit, I can't go on like this. I got the infamous Candy Duquesne into my drag room and said, here was a shaver. And she was like, it's going to be wonky. And I was like, it's fine. I'll book a haircut. I will book a haircut. It was like a Friday night. I'll book a haircut this weekend because it needs a trim anyway, and they'll just even it out. Cut to me getting absolutely mortal, not doing anything else that weekend, not thinking about it, and going to work on Monday morning, and then at some point going, oh, my head, and going, oh shit. And realising that I had done nothing about it. I hadn't booked an appointment, I'd completely forgotten, and I had a wonky back of my head, much like Miss Tina Burner. Do you know what? You've got to do what you got to do sometimes to feel that femme fantasy.
Okay, sure, Jan. We move on to the next day. We start off with this weird little, not quite mini challenge with...
Shawn Margolis, yeah.
Is she like a big thing in America?
I don't know. This was the first time I've heard of her. Also, I don't live in America, so...
No, but you're more clued in to American stuff than I am.
No, I feel like psychic mediums is more of like a you thing.
No.
You just give me that vibe.
The only time that I'm really like a psychic medium is when I'm sat on a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting and somebody's got themselves on mute and I'm like, Sam, are you there? They are there, they're just on mute. Do you agree with this? I felt like this was all fed to this person.
It wouldn't be a big stretch that like, oh, you look at Tina Burner and you think, oh, your dad drives a truck. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And any of these men going, oh, your dad wants to apologise for not having been around. Shawn Margolis Drag Race. It might be interesting. But we won't know. But she knows.
It's got Utica's cow.
She says, moo!
She says, I just didn't quite understand the purpose of this. Was it to show off Shawn Margolis? Was it to have a learning moment about the queens? Was it to throw the cat among the pigeons?
Definitely just felt to me like maybe this is a psychic medium that RuPaul likes to use.
Possibly.
And she was doing like a favour for a friend. It didn't feel like it added anything or it didn't make sense in any other way. Yeah.
It was odd. But we move on to the main challenge. It's announced that we're doing the makeover challenge a little bit differently this season, and the queens have to swap their drag personas and their drag style. We find out that Tina isn't a massive fan of rosé.
We can't say that now we found out about Tina and rosé because, like, very first episode,
I said it
first thing they
episode.
did when they heard about each other was like, oh shit, that bitch.
Yeah, I said this first episode, and I think, like I say, I felt like this was they were building up to a storyline. Utica and Simone are trying on drag. Simone in this red dress with the 3 top hats. I am obsessed with. And I kind of wish that this is what we saw on the runway. Yeah.
If this was just about like making someone look good in someone else's drag, then yeah, this would have been the look.
Simone and Utica talk about this Baps look, and Utica is a little bit nervous that she doesn't want to come across like she's appropriating anything.
Yeah.
Utica is very sensitive to things like this, I think.
Do you not know the tea?
No.
It's not well steeped, but this is the tea. Some big thing happened, and basically she got cancelled in where she's from.
Oh.
And it sort of became mounted on top of things. And she's done a few performances that weren't particularly racially sensitive. Did like a big speech thing announcing that she was going to work as hard as she possibly could to be better. And the thing is, that isn't out there. No one is talking about it. But apparently that's why she's so sensitive to it. Yeah. Everyone just thinks, oh, she's overly sensitive. But the reason she goes, yeah, I'm scared of being cancelled, is because she's been cancelled.
Yeah, I think the thing is, like, with that, Utica will be going out of their way to try their best.
Absolutely.
To rectify that and to not make the same mistake twice.
Yeah, apparently it's just bad timing.
Yeah. So, stop it. Last in this little section is Candy and Mick. Candy's concerned that they have such different body types.
Yeah, which you would be.
And they do the smart thing that they start taking in one of Candy's garments.
They start trying to find a way to modify one of Mick's looks into something bigger. Yeah, so actually what it appeared to be is the Mick's look came with like a latex top, a long sleeve crop top.
Okay.
And then quite cleverly, because the thing is, when Mick does a white face, they normally cover a lot of their skin.
Yeah.
Like they'll leave a bit here, but they'll cover most of it. But because they couldn't do that with Candy, they obviously only did like the mask area.
Yeah.
Something I actually noticed on this part was, I think they weren't all told this is how it was going to work in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So they all prepared duo looks. Some of them you saw, especially like we definitely saw two of the matching wigs that Utica ended up wearing.
Yes, so
on a shelf, and I saw other ones around the room. And actually, I think it was when Elliot left in Untucked, I saw two matching wigs, and I was like, "Oh, is that what that's for?"
Yeah, there's a lot of them have posted it to social media as well. We move on to the walkthrough, and there's not a lot in this. I didn't write a lot of notes.
Oh well, I wrote a bit. I hate glitter so much.
The only ones that I wrote notes for were Candy's relative talk about goat's mouth.
I don't know why it's called that either.
Candy's also a certified makeup artist.
You can be amazing at something and never take an exam at it.
Yeah.
And you can be shit at it and pass an easy exam. I thought this bit with Olivia and Denali brought something to light that I've spoken on quite a bit. Every single week, I say that we don't know what Denali's thing is. But similarly, Olivia's got like on a similar vein. Like there isn't one common theme really. No. So I was actually impressed that Denali managed to find one. When I saw this, it's tulle and there's like this braid. Oh, this is Denali actually.
Yeah.
And it made sense. And I wish she'd do more of that crap, because like then at least I know who she was. And then actually, I think they really had to prove just how much we don't really know much about Olivia, because when Denali did an impression, they had to do like a clip reel of Olivia using those words.
Yeah.
The next part, we got the biggest cringe of the season, which was Utica asking RuPaul, "What did you think of my lip sync?"
Literally,
right.
my
fair,
whole...
but like,
yeah, it was odd.
And then following this, we had Simone ask RuPaul what she thought about potential appropriation.
Yeah, and that, I think, again, this was a clever move on Simone's part, because she wants to make her partner feel comfortable, but she also wants to make sure that she's not upsetting any of the people that are going to be judging you.
I didn't enjoy RuPaul's answer. People will use that around the world as validation for the things they're doing.
Yeah.
Which, as has been well documented, just because you have love in your heart when you do something doesn't mean it's not appropriation.
Yeah. Yeah, very
and I think it was just a really dangerous answer, in all honesty.
It was a little bit, yeah.
But I actually think, that's just as a general, but more specific to this, what Simone wanted Utica to do wasn't about appropriation, it wasn't about that. It was, she was meant to be dressing as Simone, who, Simone's whole thing is about iconic black fashion.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, exactly, and also there wasn't going to be anything dangerous she was doing with the look.
We move on to the Queen's going onto the main stage to practice walking like each other and the attitude and
Yes.
everything. First question that came out of my mind when this happened: why is Denali getting Olivia to skate if she's not in skates? Denali doesn't do the skating motion when she's not in skates.
They're trying to hit the points that are relative to that person, and they all know her as a skater.
No.
I do wish she made her just walk the runway in her ice skates.
It's funny you should say that, because I actually thought when Olivia came out onto the runway, she was just wearing Denali's entrance outfit. Tina and Rose made me laugh when Rose was trying to be Tina, but kept on adding like the Rose flair to it. You know, like you said a few times that New York Queens move too much. Like Rose was doing that with Tina.
Yeah, it was clear that what she was doing was she was editing Tina in a way where she was like, this is how I wish Tina would be.
I think that Tina nailed Rose first time. I was like, yeah, she's got this. Also, somebody else who nailed their partner was Utica walking as Simone.
Oh, yes.
Literally, first time, straight out the gate, she just got it. I cringed at Candy and Mick.
Really?
Yeah, I found Mick really cringy doing Candy.
Oh, see, I thought Mick did in the like this walkthrough bit. It wasn't amazing, but I actually thought Mick did a decent job.
We move on to Elimination Day, and the Queens have their little moment in the workroom like we normally do. The Queens kind of have in their pairs. Why do you think that Shah put us together? Moment. Tina and Rose think that they were put together to learn from each other.
What was the point in it? Do you know, I actually forgot, but in the walkthrough they did with Rue asked them why they think they got put together, and most of them didn't seem to understand the challenge. All through this bit, I was actually thinking about the fact that they're all having their makeup done by other people.
Yeah.
And you know, as a performer, how much it can affect your performance when you aren't happy with how your makeup's turned out and happy with how you're looking that day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just imagine having to go on to like this massive stage of Drag Race, not particularly looking your best, not even looking someone else's best, half of them.
Yeah.
These are people who feel comfortable and confident a certain way.
In their own
And
drag.
most of them aren't going to be put in any kind of drag that's going to leave them feeling happy about how they look.
No, I absolutely agree. It's very much drag is your armor. And,
Yeah.
You know, sometimes putting on someone else's armor isn't going to fit.
It really was noticeable because every time I looked at Olivia, what I decided she looked like was the worms from Men in Black. Also, LOL, Tuna Burger. That's what they introduced Rose as, Tuna Burger.
Let's move on to the runway and talk about the looks. So, starting off with RuPaul's look. What was your thoughts on this red?
Right. Well,
Here we go.
I have a journey of thoughts,
Okay.
a journey of sorts, a journey of thoughts. When it came down the runway, I hated it. So it was like cut straight across here with the strap, so it had quite a square opening.
Yeah.
But then there was like this nude spandex piece that was round.
Oh, I didn't notice the nude.
Oh,
spandex.
I did. It ruined the entire illusion. Even like the I'll stand up, I guess. The cutout here was
Okay.
ruined because there was this round shape within the red part.
Okay.
I love this hair on her. I think her face looked nice.
Yeah.
Walking down the runway, I hated this dress. But when she sat down,
Yeah.
spoiler alert, it was all tucked away. And it
Mhm.
looked gorgeous.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought that when you couldn't see the bottom half of it, I was like, okay, I quite like this.
I thought it was really nice when it went away.
When we couldn't see half of it, it was great. Let's start off with Rose as Tina Burner of NSYNC fame.
It's a
Questionable.
bit shit, but does that mean it's correct and perfect?
I thought she looked like Tina Burner. I hated this dress. The reveal was trying to save how bad this was.
If Tina had actually had to wear this on the runway, she'd have walked down the runway and you'd have heard her in the background being like, I'm coming out and I'm giving you my pantomime dame, Miss 50s housewife
Yeah.
realness. And then you know what? When the lights go off, we turn down the dimmers and she's a sex kitten at night.
And
Ooh.
bam, at night she comes out of the cloud.
Yes.
She's a cougar because she's wearing leopard print.
Yes.
Tina Burner as Rosé. She looked like
Well,
Rosé in 10 years.
So I say I always love the makeover challenges, And this is one of the reasons why one of the biggest challenges for any drag queen is painting someone else's face.
Mm-hmm.
Rosé's makeup, the stuff she does on her own face, actually must do something because she's doing the correct stuff. She's just got a big old brick of a face.
Next up was Olivia as Denali.
I thought when I saw this come out from behind the wall,
Yep.
I thought, okay, yes. If you ask me who it was, it's Denali. She's dressed as Denali.
Yeah, mate. It looked like somebody had put the baby filter on Denali, and this is what they got. Denali as Olivia.
Was it though? This one really stood out for me as clearly Olivia has a very easy to paint face the way she does it,
Yeah.
but she can't paint someone else.
It doesn't transfer.
So she doesn't know how to help someone else's face to look better.
Let's move on to Simone. What material is this?
It was like a spandex sort of,
Yeah,
like a
it was
thin
like a-
jersey spandex.
I loved and hated this at the same time. I think there was something a little bit, there's something very whimsical about Utica. And I do think that Simone really embodied that in this challenge.
Like I said before, that look that they tried on was gorgeous, but they really wanted to push that, oh, Utica's a weirdo and
Yeah.
I'm being a weirdo thing. This is the issue I have. If I was critiquing Utica in this, I'd be like, I don't think this went with this.
Right.
But critiquing Simone trying to look like Utica, I was like, oh, well, this is perfect.
Yeah. Then it was followed by, Utica nailed this to the wall
Oh,
And when-
absolutely.
and just went, and that's how you do it.
She has such an appreciation for how Simone acts and looks.
Yeah.
And as sort of like an actor, Utica can portray that. But when Utica's just being Utica, she feels silly doing it. So puts up this thing of like, oh, I'm being wacky too.
Yeah.
But actually, she's very, very capable of doing this powerful, strong walk.
I am very excited to see whether she carries that over into the next runways.
Absolutely. These two are the two that really understood what the challenge was. And actually, Utica needed to learn that you can be powerful and strong and it's not silly. Simone needed to understand, actually, sometimes you can be silly and it doesn't make you any less powerful or
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah. Gottmik was next. What did you think of this?
I've forgotten all the names again. We've hit that point in the night. I really liked it. I did see this as a Candy look. I did. I genuinely thought, oh, this is a Candy look. I get it. Candy doesn't seem to understand. A lot of these girls don't understand is they come out the runway and what they do isn't very impressive, very noticeable, very notable, very unique. Some of them just walk and it's a bit shit, and hers is just a walk and it's a bit shit. It's just her doing the walk and that's why it's her.
Yeah.
So I think pulling on this, she's Bronx and she likes to have a shout and fight and whatever.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was a really clever way to bring Candy's personality into this, even though it wasn't necessarily what Candy does on a runway.
Okay.
And again, Mick was
Yeah.
like, fine, I'm doing it, balls to the wall, I'm doing it.
How many times in the past has Michelle Visage gone, this is a leotard? This was a leotard. It was hand painted. It was gorgeous. Don't get me wrong.
What we have to remember with this runway isn't about bringing an amazing piece of fashion. This
It was
runway is about bringing
Yeah.
what someone else would have done.
All right.
And this, to me, I could see Candy in this. I could understand it. I think, to be fair, they paired up everyone else because they made sense to put together, and these two were just left over.
Well, last but by no means least was Candy Muse.
I think her ass looked nice and smooth. This is obviously the only person that's been painted by a makeup artist.
Yeah.
I thought it was really, like I said before, really clever to do the mask part because of Candy's skin being so dark compared to the white.
Yeah.
I can see this is a Gottmik look.
Yeah.
Not just, from the makeup to everything. This is, I think Michelle says it, this is branding. There isn't a lot to Gottmik's walk that is something you can emulate.
Yeah. But the thing is, for me, when I've seen Gottmik walk a few times, there's a turn of the wrist. I can't show you on camera without stand up, but they have their wrists turned out, and
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm with it.
They do kind of do that little flowy thing with their arms. I saw it with Candy, and I don't think it was mentioned in the episode. It was definitely something that they consciously did, which I thought was great. We move on to the judges' critiques, and I wrote absolutely nothing for this section. Close
See,
to
I'm
missing
feeling
out.
I'm feeling the Annabelle fantasy. I don't know any words. I don't know how to speak. I'm going to fall over in a second.
Please
So
do.
Simone and Yusuke are the only ones who seem to really understand what they could learn from each other and why they were put together.
They do the
Oh, you took it back.
They do the dreaded question that comes up at least once a season. Who should go home tonight and why? Most say Olivia.
Understandably.
Yeah, absolutely. But then Denali throws Candy under the bus. I understand why she threw Candy under the bus, because she's not going to throw her partner under the bus.
Did you watch Untucked?
No.
She actually explains in Untucked.
However, Candy bites back with, I didn't know that Tina owned flames. I mean, Queens being possessive over things is...
And that could become a real scandal.
I mean,
I think
it really could. The ridiculous things that I have been accused of copying, having a recorded intro on one of my tracks, a voiceover intro.
Oh, girl.
I was accused of copying because I wanted one of those. No, don't be silly. Do not be silly. Let's not.
Yeah. Oh, people think they own things. We've been through this a million times, but this wasn't Candy. No, it wasn't, especially because it wasn't Candy.
It wasn't Candy.
This wasn't Tina saying this. This was Denali saying this just to deflect, because she couldn't just say because she knew if Olivia ends up in the bottom, they're in the bottom together.
Yeah. We find out that Yusuke and Simone are the winners, and Denali and Olivia are in the bottom two. And again, we're getting a repeated lip sync. This lip sync song has happened before in season 1. I'm going to say it. I don't think Olivia won this lip sync.
Oh, I feel like this is the one that's dividing people, because people, every opinion I see is like swinging one way or the other.
Yeah. So
no one seems to want to agree.
Do you know what really pissed me off the most? The fact that Denali was eliminated on Olivia's merit. It wasn't anything that Denali did.
Yeah.
That eliminated her. This
Yeah.
was the double sachet episode.
Or double Shantae.
Double Shantae, sorry. This was the double stay episode.
Yeah. They both did such a good job of that lip sync.
Yeah, they did a really good job of the lip sync. I was really annoyed
I couldn't have picked between them personally. If they'd have just separated everyone again, Denali wouldn't have been in my bottom two.
No.
It would have been either Tina or Rosé.
I don't agree with this bottom two, because I would have put Tina in the bottom two because of the job that they did on Rosé. And I would have put Olivia in the bottom two for the job that they did on Denali.
Yes.
It didn't feel like that was the criteria, though. So, that is the end of this week's episode.
Yes, it has.
And next week, we are going on to the branding challenge, which we know is always coming. They have to
And they're making a drink, aren't they?
Pop, 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 do it. Let us know in the comments what you thought of this week's episode, whether you think that Olivia should have won or Denali should have won, what your thoughts were. But for now, I have been Annabelle Lecter.
And I've been Annabelle Lecter.
And we will see you next week for RuPaul's Best Friend Review. See you in a bit. Ta-da!
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.